Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whatever the I Want podcast, where our host, Gaby, gets to talk about whatever the I want. And hopefully this episode is much brighter than the other ones. It's been inconsistent delighting just because of winter here. I have relied in some videos on sunlight, and unfortunately the sun sets just early now because it's winter time. It is 6:27 and it has been pitch black now for at the very least an hour. There has been a lot on my mind lately. I have been doing all the things. I feel like I've, gained some momentum. I've lost some. I feel like some days it's like a roller coaster all day of like emotions, for like 6 hours I'm like grinding and I'm on it, and then I just hit like a plateau, or maybe it's like every other day. And so this episode is basically going to be about getting out of your head and why your mind is the one thing that you need to overcome. So essentially, I discovered somebody on YouTube. He's been recommended to me before, but his name is Nero. And he basically talks about like manifesting and how to create your dream life. And you hear it time and time and again that the brain is the most powerful thing. And I was also watching another YouTube video that I shared onto my Instagram. I believe this is one of the ones that I shared. It was about Kobe Bryant and how he just became one of the most dedicated basketball players. Like, he was just dedicated to the game, and that's how he became one of the best. And I think when it comes to manifesting and just wanting to become the person that you want to be, and they say this is the key to it, you have to step into it. So for example, I didn't grow up learning music. I didn't grow up knowing anything about music. And quite frankly, up until like 6 months ago, I really still didn't know much. I just knew that I liked to sing. I knew that it sounded good. Like I liked the way I sounded when I sang. And I've hit some learning curves, which has affected my confidence. So for example, I reached out to a music producer. I have the beat. I wrote the song. I was in my head about it, but overall I feel like pretty happy with how it is. And I was in my head about like, is there too much? Is this period of length with music too long? Do lyrics need to be in here? And then I was reminding myself, like, Gaby, that's what music is. Music is like vocals being added to a song, and it's like this harmonious thing, right? Of like, a song is harmonious. It's got to have elements of the music, elements of the voice. It's got to complement each other. And I watch interviews of musicians, and I practiced the piano. And, my friend Andrew today told me, like, he just called me on FaceTime and just like randomly started singing this Bruno Mars song that's been in my head. And he was like, Gaby, you sound great. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Andrew. And he's like, we kind of just like coexist on FaceTime together. And he was like, wow, you've improved at the piano. And I'm like, Andrew, like, he was gassing me up. And sometimes I do feel like we do need that. So like, gas your friends up, because really, it does go a long way to tell your friend like, hey, I really like this. Hey, you're really good at this. Hey, I'm proud of you. We oftentimes don't know how often this person is being told these things. And we also don't know what people are battling internally. So compliment people, go out of your way to make people feel good. And, today I woke up and I actually had a hard night last night. I was in my head about a podcast episode that I'm going to be doing in the future. And it's just been something that's been weighing on me. And I was just like boohoo crying for hours last night. So I didn't end up getting as much rest as I would have liked. So this morning, whenever I woke up, like ready to go to the gym, I was like, you know what? I just want to lay here. I just want to lay here and I just want to close my eyes and just like relax till I have to get ready for work. And I was like, you know what? Today I want to actually like get ready for work. I want to look good. And then I was like, no, I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll wear this outfit. I had this outfit in my head. I've had this outfit in my head for a while. And I was like, no, I'll wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow I have plans with the girl I got matcha with. We got matcha, we hung out, and now we're going to hang out again. Cool. And I was like, no, I'll wear this tomorrow. And then I'm like, I could literally die and just not ever wear this outfit, because I was anticipating to wear it tomorrow, and like, why not wear it today? And so I wore it today because I'm like, today is a day that I deserve to dress up for myself. I don't need to have a special occasion or an event to wear, this out. And I felt great, and I got compliments today. And today somebody walked into the store and I'd seen her once before. And I was like, hey, I know you came here for a K-pop event last time. Like, what are you doing in town again? And she's like, I'm here for a K-pop event. I'm so surprised that you remembered me. And we had like this brief conversation. And she's somebody who travels, and she's, honestly, I don't know how old she is, but I would say like maybe like 35 or older. She does seem like mature, at least in the way that she carries herself. And I have just been so impressed by her because she just travels alone. And one time we were talking, last time she was in town, she's like, yeah, I just travel on my own because if you wait for a group of people, you're probably never going to go. And sometimes whenever you do go with people have different ideas of fun or different ideas of exploring. And she's like, I don't want to just go somewhere and stay in the room all day. Like, I want to go out and travel and experience things. And so she was waiting for her to check into her hotel. And so she, stopped by. And I am just so inspired by her because it is so important to just do the things that you want to do, regardless of whether or not people are beside you. And that even goes to me pursuing my career. I was talking to Bree, my vocal coach, and she was like, I told her like my parents and really like not many family members have ever told me, hey, Gaby, you're a good singer. Hey, Gaby, like you have a nice voice. I've only been told that by my sister-in-law and by people I've dated. And eventually it grew into like, a one niece at a time was like, wow, Tia Gaby, you sing so nice, or you have such a pretty voice. And I remember telling them we were at Legoland, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pursue music. And then my oldest niece was like, well, sing something now. And so I sang. I was nervous because I'm like, she's like a little teenager, like she's going to judge me. She's like, she made like a face and she's like, no, like you're actually really good. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I was like, she could have just roasted me. And even to this day, like my mom has commented on videos of me that like saying that like I sound good, but she's never actually told me to my face like, hey, you sound good. So it's not that I don't believe her, but like some part of my brain is like, are you just saying that to like make me feel better? Like, are you saying these things because you haven't said it to my face, so it makes me feel like you don't mean it, which is not true, right? That's my brain. And the same thing happened with my sister. Growing up, she didn't ever tell me that she liked the way I sounded, and she commented on one of my videos like, oh, you sound great. And whenever she was in town with my mom, I brought it up to her. I'm like, I think this is my brain just being mean to me. I don't think that this is how you actually feel, but I just need some validation from you right now. I was like, whenever you commented that on my video, did you do it because you felt like I needed to hear it, because you just wanted to leave a comment to like boost the algorithm? Like, I don't know, like what were your intentions with this comment? She's like, no, I actually thought you sounded great. And I'm like, okay, like it was just me in my head. And it just goes to show like how much we as people get into our heads so much. Like my vocal coach Bree, some advice that she gave me on one of my videos, and I mentioned this in like one of the first episodes of the season. She was like, Gaby, I would just, focus on this and add a little bit of auto-tune. And that really hurt my feelings whenever she said that, because for me, what I didn't realize, me being naive to this whole world or industry that I have no knowledge in, I didn't really realize how common it was for artists to use auto-tune. And auto-tune is essentially a software that does pitch correction. And I believe me, I was like, auto-tune, like they don't be using auto-tune like that. Like my brain would go to like T-Pain auto-tune, right? But now that I've been listening to music and really hearing how slight you can use it, Bad Bunny uses it. There's a lot of other artists that use it. Your favorite R&B artists use it. Some of my favorite artists use it. And I'm like, and even like Mexican artists, like I'll hear like a Mexican song and I'm like, wait, I do hear it a little bit. And they talk about it like, and I've been watching videos of people like, it's just a style choice. And sometimes, and I would hear this at concerts, and I would hear like an artist sing and I'm like, oh my gosh, they sound amazing. And then they talk into the mic, and it almost sounded like a little bit too, like a little different than like what their normal voice sounds like. And then I learned that live auto-tune existed, and I was like, oh shit, like that's a thing. You can do that live. And you might know this, I didn't know this, and it's just like a whole new ball game for me. And I got really like kind of emo because I was like, auto-tune. My brain thinks auto-tune means you're just not good. But in reality, auto-tune is just a stylistic choice. It is a way for artists to be able to dance on stage and still be able to hold a note, because, you know, you get out of breath and you're moving and you're dancing. So it was a harsh thing to accept that like this is potentially something that I will have to use in my craft. But I've had to also realize that it doesn't mean that I'm bad. It doesn't mean that I'm bad. It just means that it's just a tool like painters use, like coders use, right? It's just a tool that is used in the industry, and it doesn't mean that I'm bad. It just is a resource. And so, yeah, that was something that kind of like hurt me. And I don't know if every artist uses auto-tune, right? But I have really started to notice it more, very slight. Even in some country songs, I'll hear it and I'm like, this is so crazy. So crazy. Like I never would have known if I didn't develop an ear for it. And that's what I'm doing now, is learning music, which is what I've wanted to do for so long. Whenever I was applying to college, where I really, really wanted to go to school, and it's the only school that I knew that made sense for me because I had no experience in this, but it was Full Sail. I really wanted to attend Full Sail, and it's this school in Florida that is like known for like video production, DJ mixing, like arts. Like it's just known for the arts. It's known for its creativity, and it's the only school that I really saw myself in. And I don't know if I ever brought it up to my parents or if it just was something that I shut down on my own. But I was like, no, like it. And I actually do think I did bring it up to my parents. I'm like, no, you need to go to a real school. And I just think to myself, like how far ahead I would be now had I gotten out of my head at that time. Even whenever I was graduating from college, I remember sitting in the Rights Union, and I was sitting at this like this wing food place that they had downstairs in the Rights. And I remember I had my laptop open and I was looking at jobs to apply to Cut, which if you don't know about Cut, it's this YouTube channel that is based in Seattle where they have like, you know, a mom and a son, and they're playing a drinking game. And I thought that was just like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, how cool. I want to be involved in this. Like, this is fun. This is what I want to do. I want to be a part of entertainment. And then I told myself I could never move out of state. My first thought is, oh my gosh, I should go for this. And then my logical side is like, how am I going to move out of state? How the fuck am I going to get over there? I'm going to miss my family. It's going to be really hard. I should just not do it. And even today, the girl that I saw at the I didn't see her at the K-pop event. The girl who was here for a K-pop event, whenever she was leaving, she made it a point to say bye to me. And my first thought was like, I should invite her to lunch. I get off at 1:30, like her and I should go to lunch. And then I was just like, oh, I hope to see you later. And then she's like, okay. And then she like, you know, went her way. And I thought about it for quite a bit of my shift. And I'm like, I should have just invited her to lunch. And I think you kind of should go with your first thought, with your gut instinct, with whatever it is that first comes up to your brain. And again, this might not apply for everybody, right? Maybe not everybody should say the first thought that comes to their brain. And we can think of some prime examples of some people who just shouldn't do that. But I think for the large majority of us, if your first thought is something that is like an act of kindness, if it is something that is fun, if it is an idea, you just got to like go for it. And I was thinking about that, like when it even comes to like artists like Russ, like he puts out songs that are like, I just got to get this idea out of my brain and I got to get it out into the world. And I think there's something to take from that, it's like, just get out of your head, which he has a book about that. I haven't read a second book, which is something that I do need to do. But I did learn a lot from him. And I think it's important to get out of your own way. I saw this quote that was saying, it was actually from a video by Nero that I was watching. I was taking notes on it because I'm like, I need to take notes and I need to tell everybody, I need to share with the world, which is really what I feel like this podcast is. It's just like me sharing like random thoughts or things about my life. And I'm like, I hope somebody can learn from it. So what he was sharing was, your human mind focuses on the negative. So true. How often do you think, oh, this restaurant, the wait is so long, or, oh, my food could have been a little bit hotter, or, you know, you can find something to complain about. And trust me, your brain can always find something to complain about. And he said, beliefs are the borders of the world you live in. It doesn't matter how fast of a sprinter you are if there's a wall stopping you. AKA your mind. Doesn't matter how fast you are. How often, you know, whenever you're playing Little League, do they tell you like, don't look around, just keep running, just run, just run, just go, just run. Because the second that you look back, the second that you look around, it slows you down. There's so many people who are running at the Olympics and they see somebody cross the line and they just stop. And it's like, keep on fucking running. Like, let's see what your personal best is. Like, just because somebody else won doesn't mean that you have to just quit on yourself. Or how many people do you see slow down? Like, it is really all a mental game. And once you learn how to master your mind, you freaking master life. Like, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to master it all. I'm trying to create my dream life. And how do I do that? Is just to get out of my head and to learn how to do that. And that's what I've been rewiring my brain, y'all. If a belief isn't helping you, it's destroying you. Let go of old identities. If something is not benefiting you, then it's not helping you. Why do you still have it in your life? I thought that was so fascinating because it's like, why do we hold on to things that don't serve us? People, friends, habits. Why do we do it? Why? Do you know how many times I've wanted to like just kind of like give up on like the piano. I'm like, what's the point? Or like me learning that I had to use autotune, and now this is a whole different thing I have to navigate. And now with the producer, like the sound, like I'll lay my vocal on it and I'm like, something just sounds wrong. And then I'm having to learn about like, how do you produce music and how do you help your vocal go in and out, and how do you layer and how do you do all these? It's a huge learning curve for me. And I have in my brain been like, just quit. What's the point of it all? It's clearly something that you have to learn and navigate. I mean, quitting's just a little bit easier, right? And so I have to like, you know, tell my brain like, we're going to learn. And so like, maybe the timeline of things isn't going to be exactly what I was thinking in my head. However, I think the plan is like, okay, it might take you a little bit longer this time. It's your first time doing it, but that means it's going to be easier next time. And I'm trying to focus on the positive. I'm learning something for the future. It's not just for right now. This is something that's going to benefit me for the rest of my life. And it's going to change my life. It's going to change the lives of the people around me. And I just got to do it. Because if I don't do it, I mean, what's the point of all this? Because I'm trying to not only follow my dreams for myself, but I'm truthfully trying to follow my dreams for my nieces and nephews. I want to set them up for success. I don't want them to ever have to think, how do I work and go to school? Where do I have to navigate? What do I do with my life? I don't want them to ever have to think, what do I do with my life and how am I going to get there? I want to be a prime example of, you decide what you want to do and your Thea will take care of everything for you to be able to get there. I want to do everything in my power for those kids to have the best lives that they can possibly have. And that's not even to mention all the other things I want to do for everyone else in my life. So it's not just by me winning. Like, yeah, that's great. I love that for me, being able to win. But it's not just about me winning. It's not just about me winning. This is about being a voice for people in small towns who think that they can only ever get out of it by either being a drug dealer or by being a football player. What people do you know that have come out of Belle Glade who are Grammy Award winning artists? You don't have one. And it's like, I want to serve as that. I want to be that. I want to be the face of all of this. I want to be the pioneer for all the people who grew up the way that I was raised and who have these big dreams and who think it's not possible. I want for them to know that it is. That you can come from a family of migrant workers, of people who are picking crops and traveling throughout the United States. I want for them to know that it is possible for you to have your dreams come true. You just have to work towards it. Not that you have to work hard, because my dad and I kind of have different beliefs on that. I did used to believe that you have to work hard. It's not that you have to work hard. It's that you just have to work at it consistently. Because the difference between you and other people is like, one, some haven't started. And then two, people quit. And that's a really big difference between who you view as successful. It's not that bodybuilder ate more, worked out harder, or more intense. It's just that the days that they didn't want to get up and show up, they fucking did it anyways. Whether it be, you know, like, and my friend Andrew, he went running the past couple of days and he's like, I think I'm a little like burnt out. I think tomorrow's a rest day. And I'm like, let tomorrow be a rest day then. It's about knowing and understanding, how can I help myself? And sometimes helping yourself is resting. Sometimes it is that. Because how am I going to like come at something every single day with 100% when as a human being, we do not have 100% of the time? Now, if all I have is 10% and I go and I give my 10%, then technically that day I gave my 100. And so I think that that's just like a huge noticeable difference is like, are you giving your 100% today? Is your 100% resting? Is your 100% showing up? Is your 100% playing the piano? There's times where I play for like 2 hours, not consecutively, but it'll be like 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. And then throughout the day, it's been 2 hours that I've practiced. And there's some days where it's just like 15 minutes. And I'm frustrated and I don't want to be sitting at this piano and I'm tired and I have to learn how to do all these other things. But it's still about, am I showing up? Am I quitting on myself? Those are things to think about. So it is important to impress your subconscious mind when you wake up and when you go to bed. So as we know, our mind is our own biggest obstacle. And what we don't really realize is that like our brain has these subconscious beliefs. So we have what we think about on a conscious level. And what we don't really think about is what's happening subconsciously. So for example, today there was a car that braked randomly. And I was in my head. Like today specifically, I was in my head a lot. And I was just like going over all these thoughts. Like low-key kind of like stressed. Just like thinking about, all because I was 10 minutes late to work. I was like, oh my God, do I text my boss? Do I not text my boss? The world isn't going to end if you don't text them. Gaby, the world isn't going to end for you being 10 minutes late. And I'm just in my head. And I don't know where this truck brakes. And I like snap out of my thought. And I get like scared. I mean, there's distance between us, but I'm just like, and then I like kind of like come to, and then I like slam on my brakes. And I was like, Gaby, you're okay. You're safe. You weren't going to hit that truck. You weren't close to hitting it. You didn't slam on your brakes like crazy. You were fine. You were nowhere near having a car accident. However, what you were afraid of was if you hadn't snapped out of your spiral. Because I was spiraling. I did spiral quite a bit today, especially while driving. And it was like, that hadn't happened for a while either. It's kind of crazy to think about like how long it's been since I've spiraled. But I was just on one about being late. And then I subconsciously, what it is, and I had to talk myself through it. Okay, Gaby, so subconsciously, what were you really, really upset about? I was upset because my dad taught me to never be late. And that if you were late, like people would let you go, and that, you know, we're Garzas, we're not late to things, you know, we're just not like that. That's just not in our DNA. You're not supposed to be late. It shows that you're unprofessional. It shows all these things. And then I'm like, okay, Gaby. Okay, so you're upset about being late. Okay, because of this perception that you have of tardiness subconsciously. Okay, Gabby, what else are you upset about? Okay, well, I have experienced some car accidents in my life, and I was afraid that something like that would happen. And okay, that's something that it has been kind of like engraved in my brain. And so I'm like talking myself through it. Gabby, you were nowhere near having a car accident. You were just in your head. And it's very important that you pay attention while you're driving, and that you're actively paying attention, and that you're not thinking about all these other things. And it almost reminded me of my dad, because I remember my dad driving so much whenever I was growing up, and he was always just like staring blankly into like the oblivion at red lights. We were always like, Dad, like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, I didn't realize I was doing that. And now that I think about it, that man was stressed. He was stressed. And so what is he doing in his head? Okay, I got to do this, and then I got to do that, and then, oh my God, and then this is going to happen, and then I have to do this, and I have to do, oh, and then how am I going to do this, and how am I going to make this happen? And I don't know what it's like to spiral with kids, to think about like, how am I going to put food on the table for them? How am I going to provide housing for them? How am I going to do anything for them? I don't know what that's like. But damn, if the spiral, just taking care of my own self, can feel like the end of the world, I can't even imagine what it feels like to experience that as a parent. Whew. But I feel for all of y'all. And so it's really important to catch the spiral, because your brain is so powerful. And if you don't snap yourself out of it, you will stay in there, and you will stay in this stressed state of mind of like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And how am I going to make this happen in a month from now? And in 2 weeks from now, this bill is going to happen. How am I going to do that? And it's just like, it's not healthy to think like that. And whenever you think like that, you don't allow for, when you live in a high state of stress, you attract stressful situations. It sounds crazy, but it's so true that if you've ever noticed, whenever you just kind of relax in life, more things just kind of flow to you. A nice conversation, maybe the person in front of you pays for your coffee. Whenever you're calm and relaxed, good things are more likely to flow to you. I'm not saying that like a positive thing can't happen to you randomly. I do think sometimes those are just like little, like your angels, like, hey, like we are here, you know, like maybe acknowledge us a little bit more. I think it is really important to like practice gratitude and to get out of your head. Quite truthfully, let's get out of our head. Okay, so anyways, so your brain is the most susceptible to things and rewiring whenever you're in your theta and alpha brainwave states, which is basically whenever you're waking up or whenever you're going to bed or whenever you're in a meditative state. So what I do is I listen to subliminals. If you need recommendations, let me know. But essentially, I've mentioned this before, it's like positive affirmations at like a low audio level, and then you hear other noises louder than that. But I listen to things that, I'm listening to them like almost all day. And I've noticed that whenever I don't is whenever I find myself spiraling more. By listening to subliminals, I am working on rewiring my brain, because what is happening is, yes, you can rewire your brain kind of over time by saying like, say that like you want clear skin. I have clear skin. My skin's so glowy. I have clear skin. But it's not until like you're in those theta and alpha brainwave states that you're able to really like penetrate the deep pores of your mind. And I'm not even kidding you whenever I tell you, I listen to them and I can literally feel my brain getting like massaged with like positive thoughts. And I have noticed a huge difference in my confidence by using them. So I highly recommend subliminals if you don't already listen to them, and listening to them whenever you're going to bed or waking up. I always have them on the ready. Even throughout the day when I'm like driving to work. Today wasn't one of those days, but oftentimes when I am driving to work or before I head out, I will say like a quick prayer, and I will play my subliminals and head to work. And I also listen to them when I go to the gym now. I also think it depends on the time of the day. I find myself using them more before 7 to like 9 a.m. I feel like once like noon hits, I'm like, I'm ready to like listen to music, or I'm ready to watch TikToks. My brain is so much happier whenever I wait to go on social media. There's times where I don't go on social media till noon, and I'm like, oh, thank God. But then I find myself, if there's a big difference, if I go on it from noon or if I go on it at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m., I am craving it a lot less than I was at noon. Because once my 45 minutes hits and it's 12:45, I'm like, oh, more. I need more. I just need one more cat video, please. Or just one more. I mean, sometimes, my For You page is oftentimes a lot of cat videos, but it is sometimes a lot of breakup content, because we are still going through a breakup. In case y'all needed that update. Identity is who you think you are, not who you are, who you think you are. I thought that was fascinating because everything that you know to be true is what you've been told is true. Whether it be a stereotype about somebody, whether it be gossip that you've heard, you believe it's true because, for example, I was told by somebody about how somebody that I know got engaged, and it was like, oh, they only got engaged because they caught pictures of this girl on their phone, and that's how they got proposed to, because they were like, I'm not going to tolerate that shit anymore. I was never told by that person that that's how the engagement happened. But my brain is like, you know what? Maybe that's real. Even though I was never told by anybody else. And that's why, like, gossiping is just not good, because it's like, oftentimes it's not the truth. What they also said was, your brain cannot compartmentalize. Whatever you're holding on to, it's going to bleed out in other aspects of your life. Reminds me of Simone Biles. Whenever, she wasn't able to perform because of her mental health, it was bleeding into her career, into her life, whatever it is that she was battling internally. And so it is so important to take care of yourself internally, to take care of yourself in all the ways that you can, whether it be showering, combing your hair, dressing nice, doing your makeup, going to the barber shop. It is so important that you practice self-care and to fucking talk about your problems, because so many people want to say, like, I'm so macho, I'm so strong, I don't need to talk about my problems, I'm okay, ego on 10. And it's like, babe, you're the one that needs therapy the most. Like, I don't know who you're trying to convince here that you are perfectly fine, but like, I see right through it. I see right through your ego, and I can tell that there was this TikTok that was like, people only cheat because how did it go? It was like, people only cheat because they need two people to love them because neither of their parents love them. And then a therapist was like, oh my God, my mind is blown. And it's like, the way that you act is a direct reflection of like your life, what's happened to you, how you've reacted to things. Like, I'm not saying that, you can't have gone through something terrible and still be a good person to come out of it. Of course that can totally happen. I would like to think I'm a good person despite the things that have happened in my life. And it's still like, but that's a choice that I make, right? Like, I've chosen to forgive people. I've chosen to forgive myself, which can be a very hard thing. I've chosen to, not judge the people around me. At the end of the day, the people around me did the best that they could with what they had. I did the best with what I could at that time. And it's like, if you don't get over your head, if you don't get over yourself, you're not going to go anywhere in life. How can you go anywhere when you don't have direction? And whenever you don't have direction, which is leading with your heart, which is what you should do with everything in life, and your brain is just here like nagging you, don't do that. That is wrong. They are boring. Don't do this. Are you sure you want to try that? Like, even today, putting on my outfit, it was like, this is so cute in my head. And then I was like, maybe I should I put it on and I was like, I don't know if I like it. And I was like, no, Gabby, confidence. All you need is confidence. Confidence is what makes the outfit. It's not the outfit itself. And then I was like, maybe if I do my hair, maybe if I do my makeup, I'll feel so much better. And then like over time, I was just like, Gabby, you tried, you look cute. Get out of your head. And then of course, like, thank God I got validation from other people, because sometimes we need validation. But I was in my head about something so simple, so insignificant, like an outfit. And how often do those things keep in mind? Maybe that's actually why I was in my head all day today, now that I think about it, because I was in my head from the start. I started off my day in my head about an outfit. Do I wear it? Do I not wear it? Because going to the gym, I was like, I didn't get enough sleep. I don't feel like I'm going to have a really good workout. So what's the point of going when I don't feel like I can focus on it? Because I know that I didn't sleep well the night before. Which low-key, it all starts with the night before. So like maybe because I had a rough night last night and I didn't decompress before bed, that is why it bled into today. Like maybe that's actually what it was that last night I went to bed on the wrong foot. So kind of like woke up on the wrong foot. Interesting. I low-key think that might be what it is. So then I was in my head today about the outfit, and then it kind of just like bled into today. What I should have done last night when I was in my head, which I did write a little bit. I did write a couple things, which I need to just like post onto TikTok. But I didn't journal, and I have a feeling that I need to journal. I think it's time for me to journal. I journaled a couple days ago, but I think I've been kind of sleeping on it. Yeah, guys, I don't know where I went with this episode. I truthfully don't know where I go with every episode. I will literally end off the episodes and I'm like, did I even say anything of value? What did I even talk about? And then I'll watch it back and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I learned something. So it is kind of interesting to kind of see what it is that I learned from myself, because I feel like you can always learn from other people, but especially from yourself. And so like when I go back, I mean, these are essentially like video diaries of me therapizing myself for all of you to see, to hopefully gain something and learn. I feel like we get in our heads so much. It's kind of crazy. Like, my friend Christian texted me today, like, Gaby, how are you? Whatever. And I'm like, bro, like, I've been in my head. And then we're like, we gotta lock in. And then, which again, like, I mean, we're 13, 14 days into the year. And so like, be kind to yourself. Like, I mean, the year is not over. Like, it literally just started, and there's no reason for anyone to be like, it's too late. It already all went by. I can't lock in anymore. Like, you can lock in at any point. You don't have to wait for the new year to start anything. I mean, you can quite literally just decide tomorrow that you are a musician, and then you start learning how to play music. You can decide tomorrow that you want to become a basketball coach, and then you just start doing the things you got to do to become a basketball coach. What does a basketball coach do? They coach basketball. How can you do that? Volunteer at a school. Put up a flyer. Find students who need coaching. Like, in order for you to manifest anything in life, you have to step into that person. And so for me, what does musically inclined Gaby do? She listens to music. She analyzes it. She's learning, how to produce, how to mix. What are the differences in them? I'm learning all the different chords on the piano. I'm learning how to play music. I'm trying to, I do vocal warm-ups. Not every day. I need to get better at it. But, I mean, that's what musically inclined Gaby does. So I'm trying to, like, really get out of my head and be that person, because at the end of the day, like, once you decide that you are that person, you are that person. So it's like, but I think for me, it's that I have become that person. But what happens is the like other version of you before that is like, but it's so safe down here. There's no more need to grow. You did enough. You tried one time. That is plenty. Like, and it's like, no. I have to like tell that little voice like, wrong. You're wrong. You're lying to me. What I need to do is stay locked in. What I need to do is just keep showing up. And then I'm going to prove you wrong, little meanie voice. And that meanie voice is actually not coming from me. That meanie voice is all the people before me who told me, you can't do this. Gaby, you didn't make it into the talent show. Gaby, you aren't going to be in this play. Gaby, you're not going to be doing these things. You know, I actually haven't had anybody tell me that I sing bad. Whether or not somebody keeps that to themselves is none of my business. But I have actually never had somebody tell me that I sing bad. But along the way, I got convinced that I couldn't have these dreams and that they weren't mine to have. And it's like, no, I've started to realize, like, what would 13-year-old Gaby want? 13-year-old Gaby. Look, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I got my nose pierced. That is something like teenage Gaby would be like, oh yeah, you are so cool. And so I'm like, just keep doing things that like your younger self would be proud of you for. Keep doing, like, whenever your meanie brain is like, no, you can't do it. Do things that like your 8-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 21-year-old self would be like, no, you know what? You fucking rock. You are trying your best. You're showing up. You're so cool. I wish I could be just like you. Do things for that little person. Don't do things based off of like what somebody once told you because they got told along the line that they couldn't do whatever they wanted to do. Like, these things are just passed on. It's not that, maybe, we can take it back to singing. It's not that anyone said, like, for example, I didn't get into a middle school talent show. I auditioned. I only sang a chorus of a song. I didn't have anything else. They're like, anything else that you had prepared? And I was like, that is all. And I only started practicing like 20 minutes ago. And then, some of my friends were like on the panel, like, no, you did good. You did good. It just wasn't long enough. And I was like, no, they thought I was bad. He's just lying because he has to tell me I was good. And like in my head. And, even if like somebody was like, no, yeah, that was terrible. I'm not saying you can't obviously have an opinion of things, but it's like, it's terrible and you're never going to be anything in your life. It's like, no, somebody probably told that person that they were never going to become anything in their life. That's probably what happened. And then they're just projecting it onto you because they just want to make you feel bad because their little 8-year-old version of themselves is scared and felt really sad whenever they were told that. So once you kind of realize that like people are only mean or rude or anything like that because of like something that they're going through, something that they've gone through, it brings you so much peace because it's like you kind of like brush what people say off of you. It's like that's not for me to attach to. You can tell me that my singing, I sound like a wannabe Shakira. I don't care. I'm not trying to be Shakira. I'm Gaby. Over there, tiny person, flick. You just gotta like flick them off of you and just be like, you're mean. I don't like what you have to say. And it may sound ridiculous, but it like is like, oh, wow. Life is worth the living. Well, that is all for today's Gaby rant. I hope that you all have a fantastic day and I hope that you get out of your head. If you haven't checked out Nero Knowledge, check out Nero Knowledge. I listened to Lisa Alexandra for Subliminals. I also highly recommend Russ's book. I believe it's called Get Out of Your Head. There's plenty of other self-help books that have truly, truly helped me get out of my own head. For example, The Power of Now. Fantastic book on how to seize the moment and stop worrying about the future and leave the past in the past. I also recommend The Artist's Way. I will keep recommending that book. And I recommend listening to podcasts, expanding your mind, and just like letting go of these negative thoughts. They're not for you to have. Let go of them. We're done with that. Stop the negative self-talk. We're through with you. We left you in 2025. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Follow the podcast along on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you watch your podcast. We even have it on iHeartRadio. I only added it to there because my parents listen to their podcast on iHeartRadio. So for any of you iHeartRadio listeners, thanks, Mom and Dad. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.